What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. So in today's video is going to be a bit different because we're going to be talking about something that's been stirring up a lot of tension, not just online, but within the Indiana Fever fan base, the media, and honestly, the WNBA community at large. And I don't take videos like this lightly, but I feel a responsibility to speak on it because it affects the integrity of sports, journalism, and the trust between teams and fans, ultimately, the way we understand roster decisions in the WNBA. So, now let me be clear from the jump. I have tremendous respect for people who cover this league, aka the WNBA, just to be more specific and quite frank. And I know how hard it is to build credibility in the space. And I'm not here to tear anyone down, but I also have a job to do, I feel as though, or my purpose. And that's to represent the voices I hear every day, the fans, the followers, the people, who may send in clips, links, and concerns. And sometimes that means putting emotions aside and asking tough questions. And today is one of those days. All right. So at the center of this situation is Khloe Peterson, as you guys see her name in the article right here. I highlighted it. She's a well-known reporter who covers the Indiana Fever for the Indianapolis Star, and she's built a solid reputation for being tapped in, consistent, and passionate about covering this team. But recently, Chloe made a statement in a tweet that has rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way, myself included. And she stated that Aari McDonald, who's been playing on a hardship contract for the Fever, essentially has no path to remain on the roster once Caitlin Clark returns, and the team is required to trim back to 10 players. So, it says in the article, how long can Aari McDonald stay on Indiana Fever? Explaining WNBA hardship contracts. Indianapolis injuries to Caitlin Clark and Sophia Cunningham left the Indiana Fever shorthanded and desperately in need of a ball handling guard. Clark, the Fever's starting point guard, has been out since May 26 with a quad strain. Cunningham, one of the players who shared the load at one point, has been out with an ankle injury since May 30th. So the Fever brought in Aari McDonald on a hardship contract on June 1st, and she has impressed in her two games. Um she has impressed in her two games with Indiana Fever so far. McDonald has been key for the Fever in this stretch, coming off the bench to help Sydney Colson share the point guard duties, and she's able to push the pace in transition, and is tough defensively. Despite her size 5'6", she had 2 days to learn the Fever offense, playing against Washington on June 3rd and didn't miss a beat. McDonald played 27 minutes against the Mystics, making an impact on both ends, including drawing 3 offensive fouls in an 8-minute stretch. She scored 7 points with a team leading 5 assists and 3 steals. Her June 7 outing against Chicago was even better, scoring 12 points on 4 of 8 of shooting in 25 minutes and adding 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals. She's taken full advantage of her opportunity, Fever assistant coach Austin Kelly said following Indiana's win over Chicago on Saturday. We see it every year. Players go down. There are hardship contracts, and she definitely stayed ready. We always talk about staying ready so you don't have to get ready, and she epitomizes that. We couldn't be more proud of her and how she's transitioned, and she's taken us to another level and allowed us to continue to play the same way we want to play on both ends. She has been imperative for the Fever lately, but with Clark and Cunningham nearing their returns, McDonald's time with the Fever is becoming limited. All right. So then it says, how long will Aari McDonald play for the Indiana Fever? McDonald will be able to play for the Fever until either Clark or Cunningham return, which would bring the Fever's roster availability or roster available players back up to 10. Once there are 10 players available from Indiana's standard roster, McDonald's contract will be automatically terminated. Will Aari McDonald be able to stay on Indiana Fever after Caitlin Clark, Sophia Cunningham return? No. Her contract will be terminated by default once either Clark or Cunningham become game ready. According, according to article blah 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 section 4.b of the WNBA collective bargaining agreement, page 82. And it says, quote unquote, if a team during the regular season has a result of injuries, illnesses, other conditions, or um, extenuating circumstances that have affected its players have fewer than 10 players on its roster who are able to play, it may apply to the WNBA to obtain an exception to sign one or more replacement players to replacement contracts to replace one or more of the team's unavailable players. The collective bargaining agreement reads, unquote, any such replacement contract shall be terminated immediately once 10 other players on the team's roster are again able to play. McDonald is on an emergency hardship contract, which allows teams to go over the roster limit and the cap to sign players if they have fewer than 10 available players. Clark and Cunningham's injuries give Indiana 9 available players, thus allowing the Fever to sign one player to a hardship contract to get them back up to 10. She is considered a replacement player through her contract with the Fever in the league, and she is not a standard player she is not on the standard player contract. And it goes on to read, the Fever are not able to waive another player on an unprotected contract once they get up to 10 and keep McDonald instead. As McDonald is on a replacement player contract, hers will need to be the one that is terminated. Can Indiana Fever cut other players and bring Aari McDonald back? The Fever could bring McDonald back in theory, but it required a lot of rearranging. First off, Indiana will need to wait 10 days after terminating her contract to bring her back, according to Article 5, Section 14 of the Collective Bargaining Agreement. The only exception to that rule is if there was a hardship need, but the Fever will not be in that situation. Immediately after her contract with the Fever is terminated, too, McDonald is an unrestricted free agent, able to sign with any team in the league, whether on a standard player contract or hardship contract. Indiana also does not have enough cap space in its current structure to pay McDonald. Indiana was able to go over the cap to sign her to a hardship, but the money they paid for her for the time she was on the Fever will still count toward the cap. McDonald is considered a veteran player. She has 4+ years of experience, so her minimum pay structure is higher than the base minimum in the league. The full season player minimum for players 0 to 3 years is $66,000. That's it. $66,079. While the veteran minimum for players with 4+ years is $78,831. Those amounts are prorated with each passing game, but it still makes McDonald more expensive to sign. Dang. That's it? Not even 6 figures? That's mind blowing to me, family. The WNBA is down that bad. Shoot. I wonder how long Aari McDonald. Let me look up something. Because I want to know when the last time did Aari McDonald play overseas? That's interesting. She played overseas during the 2023-2024 season with the Perth Lynx in Australia. That's the last time she played. What was Aari McDonald salary playing overseas? So, Aari McDonald's WNBA salary before and after playing overseas falls within the league salary structure. Okay, to 78,831. I wonder how much they pay overseas. Overseas. Okay, let's look this up. Let me show my screen. WNBA salaries have generally been lower than those in overseas league. Overseas, top WNBA players could earn substantial sums. Overseas, for example, the New York Times reported top players earning 7 figures in Russia and China paid between $50,000 and $200,000 monthly. Monthly? And you mean to tell me that the salary for 4+ year individuals is 78,831? Dang. Yo, the WNBA is down bad. Let me know what you guys think about this salary difference between overseas and WNBA. Shoot, I would just keep playing overseas. What you guys think, family? What you guys think? I'm curious. Let me know down in the comments below. Shoot, I'm gonna go get that bag while I'm still ready. Like, look, I'm gonna stay ready. I'm gonna stay ready and I'm gonna be ready for a hardship contract or whatever contract or whatever the case may be. But best believe I'm gonna keep running it up overseas. And if they give me an offer on the table, I'm gonna still stay unrestricted agent over there in the WNBA. If they offer me that decent bag, then cool. But other than that, all bags, all in. I'm all in, all bags. All bags. Dang. So when the Fever would be able to sign her as a 12th player depends on when her replacement contract is terminated, but it would not be at least or until at least July. The Fever also have the option of waiving a player on an unprotected contract if they want to get McDonald back earlier than that. Coulson forward Brianna Turner and rookie forward Michaela Timpson are all on unprotected contracts, but it's unlikely that the Fever will waive them. Coulson is Clark's direct backup, starting in her place while she's out with the injury, and Turner, while she plays minimum minutes, currently will provide crucial depth when Fever backup center um, Damaris Dantas, yeah, because Dantas will be playing overseas because she has a Brazilian national team obligation. That's what I'm saying. So Aari McDonald could do the same thing. She could have her obligations overseas, but still be in the WNBA if they offer her that bag over here in the WNBA. All bags in while she's still athletic. She still, plays phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? Because we all know when it comes to an athletic span of being in the league is very short. So I want to get all them bags as possible, all money on the table, all in. The Fever also, like Timpson, has a development player, and she gets some minutes here and there. This also, all this could also all be null as well if McDonald signs with another team in that 10-day period. And based on how she's played on the Fever so far, it wouldn't be surprising if another team picked her up. I was just about to say that because I think another team is going to pick her up out of spite of the Indiana Fever. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Now, with that being said, um, the thing is with Khloe Peterson, right? The whole situation. What I want to get to is this was Khloe Peterson explaining basically um, the collective bargaining agreement, and the team is obligated to release McDonald once they return to the league standard roster sides. Now, on the surface, that sounds factual, procedural observation, but when you dig deeper and when you consider the way it's been presented, it starts to feel like a narrative that benefits the front office if you really think of it, because that's what fans and us, the fans, have been calling out. Because this is why people are upset, and I'm telling you, and I'm going to expand on it more right now. So let me tell you why people are upset. Because Khloe is implying that there is no options, that Aari McDonald is gone, period, from this article, and that the rules makes it inevitable. But here's the thing, that's not entirely true. Yes, hardship contracts are temporarily. Yes, teams must comply with league rules once injured players return. But there is precedent, clear, recent, documented precedent of WNBA teams finding creative ways to keep hardship players. Let's go back to 2020. Stella Johnson, she was brought in on a hardship contract by the Mystics. Eventually, she was moved to an end of season contract. In 2021, Liana Odom was picked up in a similar fashion. The point is, teams do have flexibility, especially if they value the player enough to make the move. It's not easy, but it's possible. So when fans read that McDonald's departure is a done deal, it doesn't sit right because history shows that that's not necessarily the case. So let's talk about another alternative because we're here to have a conversation, right? Right now, the fan base is looking squarely at Brianna Turner as a potential candidate for release. And let's be honest, her performance this season hasn't done much to inspire confidence. Many believe her roster spot should be the one under scrutiny, not McDonald's. Turner's contract status, her own court impact, her potential free agency implications are all being evaluated, right? And I always like to put a name to a face, so I'll tell you what I'm talking about, obviously. Um, you know, Brianna Turner. You know what I'm talking about, right? This woman right here. So, free agency implications are all being evaluated. Now, some argue that cutting Turner might hurt the Fever's image in free agency, and that it could signal instability or lack of loyalty. But let's take a reality check here. The Phoenix Mercury cut Natasha Cloud in a similarly abrupt fashion, right? If you really think about it. And did that stop them from landing big name players like Satu Sabali and Elisa Thomas? No. Teams recover. Free agency is complex, and this is a business. And players prioritize winning environments, roles, and coaching just as much as loyalty. So if the Fever truly value Aari McDonald, who has been clutch off the bench, brings defense, energy, and leadership, and she had learned the offense in 2 days. I mean, that's impressive, not even type. And then they can find a way to keep her. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And that brings us back to the media's role in all this. When a reporter with Khloe's stature, back to this article, Khloe Peterson, I highlighted her. You see her right here. Makes a definitive statement like that, without emphasizing that there are alternatives, it shapes the conversation. And whether intentional or not, end up sounding like more of a PR for the front office. And that's what fans are pushing back against. Because they're not attacking her personally. They're questioning the framing. The fans want clarity, not spin. They want facts, not phallicism. So when we see how quickly narratives can be weaponized in sports, one tweet or one article post can become dominant talking point on Twitter, Reddit, sports radio, and that's why it matters. If you have access to platform and credibility, you got to be transparent all across the board about what's policy and what's decision making. And because what look like this has to happen may really just be this what the team chose to do. At the end of the day, this isn't about Khloe Peterson, though. It's about accountability. It's about asking whether the Indiana Fever are being honest with their fans or whether they're using technicalities as a cover for choices they already made behind closed doors, right? And also the front office of the league, of course. And I got nothing but respect for Khloe Peterson work, but I also believe in telling the full story and the full context. And the full story here is that Aari McDonald could stay if the team wants her to. And it's not an automatic cut. It's not written in stone. It's a choice. And as a fan and as fans, we have every right to demand the front office to make choices that prioritize winning, effort, and chemistry over convenience or politics. Because to be honest, family, the fans are the product. Or I should say, no. Put it like this. The fans are given a service, the game, which is the WNBA, aka the league, aka the teams that the fans support, is the product. The finished product is the team that the fans hopefully support and stand back on all 10 toes down, which then translates to butts and seats, which then creates the league money, which then the league can thrive, which we all know this league has been in a 41 million plus negative deficit and haven't been able to be self-sufficient on its own to even be able to increase these salaries. So let me know what your thoughts down in the comments. Should Aari McDonald stay with the Fever? Is it the front office playing it safe or playing the fans? And what responsibility does the media have in shaping how we understand these moves? Hit that like button. And if you find this video insightful, subscribe for more breakdowns like this. And always stay loud, stay smart, and keep the pressure on. But when I mean stay loud, I mean be responsible in regards to discernment, obviously, knowing when to speak and when not to speak, and always keep it cool, collective, smart, and sharp. Spread that peace, love, and positivity, and let the love supersede the hate, family. I'm out. Peace.